I unmuted it.
It's MKPHD, whoever did that. Totally recognize that.
Oh, sell team over here.
All right, we'll just do one window at a time. And all right, try again. My name is Sean Cannon. I'm with the New Chair Tools team, Health team, and Office 365. We're going to go over different best practices. I say best practices, but I'm more interested in how, if anybody is using Planner, how they're using it, what worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, and stuff. To start, I'm going to go through Planner. You can get Planner just by going to task.office.com. If you don't want to navigate through going into voicemail and clicking, you will have to log in. So, it's kind of a pretty way to get it. I will start with
Got about a month and a half ago. The document support team in Office 365 started using it. We're a small team of 7 full-time members. And we kind of just started with groups. Two of our document support team members decided that they would use Office 365 groups for internal communication, process planning, stuff like that. And that we would use WhiskList for external stuff. So we just confirmed that again today. And part of that usage of Office 365 included, when Planner rolled out, trying to see how we could take advantage of it as a lightweight project management, team management tool. There are a lot of solutions out there, a lot of free and at a cost solutions. And since Planner came for free with Office 365, we decided we'd tinker with it. So we've been using buckets as essentially action items lists. from meetings we have. So we have several buckets going. Tasks are just managed by the individuals on the team. We don't have a team management, task management person. And it's more useful as a high level, for me personally, as a high level view of what everyone else is doing and kind of where the group is moving, what direction we're moving in. If we're doing a lot of documentation, or we're having a lot of meetings about support, you can kind of get a view for what your team's focusing on in that respect. And we do have one bucket for just the miscellaneous bucket. So that's just anything that we couldn't really tie to a meeting or a discussion. So that's kind of how we're using it now. It's only been a few weeks that we've really been using it, but for the 7 of us, the 5 of us who actually actively use it, it's been very nice.
Any struggles with it off the bat for the first week?
We kind of were fortunate enough to have another staff member in PCS who had experimented with it. Pat Brennan had, I think, experienced a lot of the aches and pains of not really knowing all the connections right away. And I'm speaking mostly about how chatty it can be. If you don't unsubscribe from updates and yes, you will be, any change that's made, not any change, but a lot of changes that are made in the plan will be communicated out to the group list. So that's something I'm sure it's been brought up, but the group and the plan are basically one and the same in many respects. So anyone who's a member of the Office 365 group to which that plan is tied will get a notification that X has been updated. No, go ahead, sorry.
When you're creating the group, you have that option of subscribing members to the email.
Yes.
That ties into it, and you are in the planner section. You see that in the back, you have a subscribe email updates option. You click on the menu of the plan. Subscribing to that will project you to direct emails for the plan updates. So if you are subscribed to both the group and the plan email updates, you'll get kind of a double dose of everything's going on in the plan. So just be mindful that there's different things you might want to unsubscribe from to keep the chatter down.
Yeah, that was the biggest issue we ran into, was just trying to get a handle on how we wanted to communicate changes made to the plan to the group.
I was just going to piggyback off of what Justin said. This is for people out in video conferencing land. This is Josh Harder. I tried it out for a month and a half, and I like what you said about how it's very much good at a slightly higher group level. It's not so good if you want to drill down to get to the specific task that you need to do. And when it comes to, and I know everyone manages their to-do list in their own very unique personal way, and sometimes there's overlap and people use different methodologies and things like that. But it seems like a tool at this level should be able to more easily go from small group to drill down to specific individual users. And I find it harder to do that with this tool than with other tools. I also found the limitations in the fact that it's actually not really integrated into other aspects of Office 365.
Yeah, I've had a couple people ask me about, like, as a service, you look at this, if you've done anything with OneNote, you think, oh man, this would be amazing if it tied directly into OneNote, and OneNote pages, I could pin them directly into task cards and whatnot.
In a similar way that you can with Outlook tasks right now.
Right,
yeah.
you can, but you have to link to sections of notebooks, which is not apparent until somebody shows you how to do it, and then it makes sense. But it's still extra steps. It would be nicer if it had tighter integration.
But I actually find that quasi-external Wunderlist is purchased by Microsoft, or they own Wunderlist. Actually, Wunderlist works better in your email and your calendar than Planner does.
Really?
Because the add-in in Office 365, you can take any email and make it into a task if you want to, if you're very much an inbox zero kind of person, right? And that then shows off the kind of early version of this. Also for me, task management, for me, I really rely on a mobile app, and there is no mobile app for this thing.
You can actually log into tasks.office.
You can.
And it works.
Yeah. You can't see him rolling his eyes. Oh, wait, they can see you rolling your eyes.
I'm not on camera.
for me, it's this, you need to both have this overview perspective, but then also be able to get to your task to say yes, no, reorganize, that kind of thing. So.
I also agree that the lack of a mobile app is what's preventing me from using it as my primary tool. My fallback is always just to send myself an email. Like if I think of something I need to do, I just send myself an email. And I don't like doing that, but I need something that I can quick pull out of my pocket and do. And I can't do that with Planner.
Yeah, I'd have to recommend if you're doing those kinds of things, Wunderlist, and Microsoft owns it and it has better integration with it, and you can do things like email your Wunderlist, access it on a mobile app. There's apps for it for Windows, etc. But I like it, that high-level group perspective here. And I think if you're more used to the Trello interface, you probably like this better. But
personally, I haven't convinced many of the teams that I'm working on to use it very heavily yet. Working on it. The My Tasks view, if you're on multiple groups that are all using Planner, or maybe your teams have multiple plans for different aspects, or you have different things. I like the view of like, these are all of the things across all of the groups that I'm involved in. But again, it's kind of a...
Well, I'm surprised that you don't see your personal tasks.
Well, you can.
But I have tasks,
Like tasks and Outlook tasks?
Outlook tasks that I'm not seeing there, and I would expect to see those there.
I'll touch on it a little more later, but I still encourage people to go use the user voice app for Planner. They've already responded to some of the things on there. I might as well bring it up now. Into it, and then switch the Hangout over to it. So it is just planner.uservoice.com. You can enter in ideas, you can search for stuff, you can vote on what's already there, and you can sort by status. And this is kind of fun, because you can see that there's 8 things that have been put in here that they've already started on, such as a mobile app for iOS and Android and Windows, assigning tasks to multiple users, which is a pretty big thing, considering how group oriented this is. Not being able to put more than one person on the task.
Their recommended methodology right now is to copy.
I read that the other day.
Did you read that? I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Something about it, like something came through a news feed or something. I'm like, oh, maybe they put it in. Then I went and I looked, and it's like, copy the card and add,
And then assign the other person.
Assign the other person to that.
No.
Support for subtasks or checklists. There's already some checklist support in there. I'm not sure what else they're going to add in there, but nice. Email notification alert options. This is going to hopefully address some of the excessive chattiness of the app. Allow external users to view and edit tasks. External users in Planner is something that we can't do yet.
Didn't they start to work on guest access to Office 365?
They have started, yes, but in the stage
it's
we're in,
yeah.
because there's still groups that aren't all the way migrated, they can let the mail team talk to that a little better,
Yeah.
I think.
So that's controlled by
The tenant or whatever.
OneDrive setting to allow external users to have docs shared with them. The problem is what Microsoft does is it creates a live identity in our tenant, which then prevents the person with that address to then migrate to our tenant. And we have, I think, 6 or so active groups migrating, and they should hopefully be done by February, I think, is what we're predicting. There may be a few other groups that will just never actually get moving in a reasonable time frame. So someday we're just going to have to draw the line in the sand and say we're going to turn on external sharing so that we can have the OneDrive external sharing plus this guest access.
That's non-sequitur, but then that also affects the external sharing of things like forms and files of OneDrive, et cetera, it's everywhere in there, right?
It should, assuming Microsoft builds their feature set around that option.
Okay.
I think it may depend on the development group how they choose to design their particular product that they're working on. If it's a SharePoint Online based feature functionality, it should honor that setting. But Microsoft is a huge company, and some development teams may do something a little differently.
And some of the completed tasks that they've already implemented revolve around some of the chattiness of the app. So that was apparently a very widely requested in multiple wording. If you do use the one voice, I do encourage you to do a search first, find whatever you're looking for, find the one that has the most votes of the wording ones, and then vote on that one. It seems like there's just a lot of people that just go there and just assume that nobody else thought of their idea and put it in. It's less. I touched on linking in OneNote. Kind of show that off here. If you right-click on a page in a OneNote notebook and do the copy link page, and bounce back and switch over to Hangouts again. You can make a new card. That was fast. I'm going to go into a random card that I have here, and I'm going to say link. Then you just paste the link into the address box, put whatever you want as the text display. And then it'll actually recognize it as a OneNote link, and when you click on it, it'll bring up the online version of OneNote, but then there's a link in there to automatically open it at your desktop. Yeah, right there. So it's a way to kind of tie the two together. It's a couple extra steps to do it, but if you're trying to convey a lot of information and you don't want to clog up the individual cards, then how would go about it? We touched on guest access a little bit. Deleting plans and how to ruin your day in 4 clicks. So, we'll do this one live. That sounds fun. I have a group. Inside of moment. Make sure everybody can see it. Technology. All right. I go into my groups. Fair, I had all these tabs open ahead of time. So I have here it is, my super important group of super important users. This group has a plan. So in this plan, there's a few things. There's that one thing, stuff and things. So for some reason, I decided I don't like how this plan's panning out. Like it's kind of strayed too much, or we're done with it. We've done all these things. We want to start a new plan to do some stuff. So I come down here and I say, edit plan. Good. Delete plan. But we're not going to read this. We're just going to say, yeah, I'm sure I want to delete my plan. Because all that's doing is asking me if I want to delete my plan. It's not telling you that when you do this, you're going to delete the group, the document, and anything that's ever associated with that group, all at the same time. And then it's gone. And you think, well, it's OneDrive. You can get that back. Can't. Not yet. They're working on it.
You should put some HTML link tags on.
So anyway, moral of this story is don't delete your plan. And if you have a really important group that has a bunch of established data, picking another group to house the plan for that group. So in case something happens and you want to just, you're going to cycle through plans, make groups. You can create up to, I think it's 250, every user can create up to 250 groups.
I don't know, but in terms of each plan make its own group, or did a
Yeah.
group have a plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go in and you select to create a new plan, and you go through all of that, it creates a plan, but behind that plan is a group. You can accomplish the exact same thing by going in and create a group. And then the only difference is how it shows up first, like when you first create it. So if I come in here and I do a new plan, it just, the plan email address is essentially setting up an Also, I may have brought up in the last minor brown bag, this make this plan public thing is, the UI design on this is awful because it's a switch, but it doesn't have like yes and no on either side. So when I look at that, I think, oh, I need to click it to move it over to no. I want to draw attention to that because I had a plan, my personal plan was set public because I read that wrong. That much meaning. I'm sharing again. All right. So group size limitations, I don't know if, I was not aware of these prior to this morning looking these up. So you can have up to 10 members of a group. Groups of users can create 250. The number of members is more than 1,000. Apparently, when you get up there in number, responses. I can't imagine having a group plan group had 1,000 users in it, but
If you want to get a lot of things done,
pull a lot of things down, just get a do it group plan.
there you go.
All right. Questions from the survey. These were submitted from the survey that Christina sent out. Run through these. How would you best use Planner in your environment? Super open-ended question. You track tasks across multiple teams and projects. You use it as a customer onboarding tool. If you have like a set number of steps to onboard a customer or an employee, you can make a task for that employee or make it hard for that employee and kind of move them across and fill out comments and data as you go across. I think it's kind of like up to your imagination. Is anybody using it in any creative ways? I'd love to share. I had a quick question. Could you actually go over Hub a little bit? Oh, sure. Yeah. Sorry. You just wanted to see me switch from sharing. Planner Hub. You can mark favorite plans. And if you mark the plans as favorites, they show up in the kind of preview card thing up here. It'll tell you how many tasks are planned, what state they're in as far as not started. If you put a due date on them, if they are late, which I have a bunch of late ones in this one. This is my task account, so. If they're in progress and if they're completed, click into the plans directly from the hub. Also wanted to point out that since the preview, like sometime after it launched, it seems that they added a couple different views, so you can group by progress. So it changes the column, it changes from the bucket view to a different column view that will show you the progress that the tasks are in, and then assign to do here. Just some handy alternatives to use.
You know, if you want to hop into charts there, one of those too.
Yes. This is a good, kind of like goes into that overhead view of the plan. You can see that I am very late on all of my tasks. Christina doesn't have anything that's on time, so I'm okay.
I think it's interesting that this is only really showing you a status of the task, and like, I mean, other sites you can like maybe see a Gantt chart or like see something that's a little bit more spanning the entire project.
This is project management.
Yeah, so Microsoft says that this fits somewhere between Wunderlist and Microsoft Project, kind of like the middle ground between the two. It's intentionally light, I think. A lot of people, it seems like some people that want to use it for more than it can do, and a lot of people are like, it's not worth it. It's just kind of it's Trello. It's a Trello form. I mean, that's what you use Trello for something that fits that.
This right here, the reason I specifically asked for it, I know there's people that do like small projects. And if you have people that, say you have a group of 4 and you got them all, drinking the planner Kool-Aid, right? This is a quick way for whoever is tracking a quick little project to be like, all right, we started out, we had 30 tasks in these areas. You can get this quick overview, follow up with people when you need to, drill down really quick without having to know like the methodology of hardcore project management. Like where it sits in that.
Yeah, as you click on the various people's tasks here, the view changes on the side. It was up until I start talking about it. So I can see the most tasks that are assigned to me. Why it's not showing. So you kind of get a nice view if you are running the project. Maybe the division of labor is like one person has a whole bunch of stuff and somebody who's finished their task, so they don't have anything assigned. Kind of a quick fix to drag stuff between people.
I think this view kind of underscores that it's good to have a plan for things that will complete. I wouldn't maybe use it for something that an indefinite thing that goes on and on and on.
Like good for tasks that will, like Jesse said, tasks that will be completed, or tasks you can like assign. We'll have this done by a specific day. You can kind of watch, and it's something that will finish, not like recurring tasks might not be the best. It's kind of forever.
And you can create 250 plans, so go hog wild.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a name, a race for the namespace. Obviously, if you name your plan, I don't know, do it or something. Obviously, there may be other people who do it who might choose.
Have to increment, like find a really good name and then.
So is SharePoint like now officially part of like the UW-Madison suite of Office 365 things you can use?
Well, okay, so SharePoint is a foundational technology for a lot of the features within Office 365, like OneDrive for Business, Planner, what else? Sway, other things like that. Groups have a plan. Groups are kind of has a loose coupling between the multiple services, but it's really more of like a personal type service. It's not what a lot of people think of as SharePoint, like team sites with a lot of departments on campus. We're using SharePoint for creating wikis and project spaces and things like that. That's the part that we haven't really explored at all, and we have, I don't know, Tamara, you may want to touch on this, but I believe we're waiting on funding.
Yeah, so SharePoint as an enterprise service is not going to be enabled until we get funding for a SharePoint administrator at the enterprise level, because we think that would just really open a can of worms we don't want to open. And so far, we haven't gotten that funding. So.
Yeah, because I just noticed if you open up files from Planner, it goes to UW Prod. So I was curious about.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird situation. They keep adding functionality on top of SharePoint Online, even though it's not an officially funded service on campus.
Sure.
So it's a way of overloading our team.
Next question is from the survey: what projects are appropriate to use Planner instead of Jira? There's a bit of crossover there. You could actually use the two together if you wanted to. Lighter weight projects would be, I guess, my answer to that. I would do, if you're doing like a development team that's doing a bunch of code, you're definitely going to fill that role better.
I would add to that too, that I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but in Planner, there's very little actual breakup of responsibility or authority. There's no hierarchy really. So anyone can delete a task that anyone else created. So if you know you're looking for change tracking and things like that, I would not use Planner. But if you have someone dedicated on your team as like the task manager, who's the only person who puts tasks in, and if something's deleted, it's because that person deleted it, sure. But yeah, not to jump in.
It's good for like kind of ad hoc, like we're going to do a presentation on something. There's going to be 5 of us working on it. Let's set up a Office 365 group and a plan to kind of like track the different things that we want to make sure that we're covering. You're going to work on this part of the presentation, or work on this part. That kind of thing would be really good fit for planners. You don't want to request a Jira project or something like that. Kind of like anything you can fit in just like a basic card, I'd say Planner is good for. If you need heavier agile product, obviously I've been here for it. And longer term record retention for it.
So we received a question. The question is, would you use this for your own projects when there are no other people involved? And share with your boss so that your boss can see your progress.
If a manager was open to that, and you were being very mindful of the email settings, I could see that being beneficial for, just kind of a nice way to have, if you're using it as like a checking tool with your manager, or team lead even, it's kind of, these are the things I'm working on, quick notes about what you've run into for various tasks. Probably a good idea. The last question that was submitted via the survey was, is the tool help with managing projects? What's the scalability of it? Yes, and to a certain capacity. As far as scaling, the limitations are people within Office 365, user management, Wisconsin Madison, so they have to have an app with an EU address. And the 1,000 plus people, and you can create 250 clients. So, I don't know if that touches on the scalability question enough for everybody. Somebody here was going to that if they wanted more clarity. Any other thoughts, or you want to see anything demoed out or planners? Questions? Anybody else using Planner?
Is there a limitation on what you can attach to your cards in those documents?
Sure. Limitations, not too limited. You scroll down, you can attach files, any kind of file. Anything you put in here is going to be put in the group shared OneDrive space. Web links, doc links, you can do Google Doc links, single links, box links. I can't really think of any limitations as far as if you have a web address to get there, or the file that you can attach to the card and put up in the shared space. I think they have images. I attached an image here, and then this is actually then saved on the OneDrive space. So, group files. You can see the, anything that's in the plan, or these are general documents, those are linked in various cards.
If you remove it from that task, does it, or you remove the task, does it remove that file?
Good question. I don't know. So this one is the H2 default.jpg. Here is, it does not delete the file. So you upload something to a card, it's going to be in that space.
So we tried using Planner for some small development type projects that we were doing within our team, and it didn't quite work as well as we thought. But we were looking for something lighter weight than Jira, just because of our Jira project just got out of control. We've lately been moving over towards the GitLab service. That's a recent addition.
The latest version of GitLab, where the repository for it. There's the latest version came with an issue tracking piece. I haven't been in that very much, so I will save everybody the pain of watching me try to demo something that I've never looked at.
I just wanted to throw it out as a good option. If you've got a development project where you're using GitLab and you want to track some issues related to that specific code tree, then that is a good alternative to Jira. If for whatever reason you don't want to use Jira. Jira, of course, is a lot more robust and has a lot more functionality. But if you are looking for something a little more lighter weight, development focused, then that might be another good option.
Any other questions or comments? Anything from the stream?
So question, if you add somebody to the plan, are they automatically subscribed to those emails or update emails or no?
Depends on how you created the plan. So I'll make a, I'm on here. Okay, I'll make a plan here. So, contact that, sure, it can be public. I'm not gonna make a description for it.
Now, normally when you create a group, you have the option to set whether members are subscribed by default, right? But you didn't have that option when you created the plan, which created the group.
Right. So by creating the plan first, you don't, which I thought you did. I think I'll go into groups. We'll create a group. And there's show very well. Privacy language, the subscribe new members, so they receive the group. So by default, they're not automatically subscribed.
Okay.
Subscribe. So I'm pretty sure that holds true across the two plans when you create a plan that way.
Okay.
Because if I go back to the plan that I made, if I click the ellipsis, I have to actually subscribe. Anybody else? All right, I think that's all I have. Thank you all for coming. If you have any other questions about planning or anything, feel free to reach out to the group